Welcome to GAEL Unscripted, where leadership meets learning and real conversations drive real impact. I'm Ben Wiggins, Executive Director of GAEL. Join us as we go beyond the headlines with Georgia's top education leaders. Let's elevate the conversation. Welcome back, GAEL family, to another exciting episode of GAEL Unscripted. Today we have fabulous guests from the GCASE organization. I'm going to start off and let Mary Kay introduce herself, and then we'll move on over to Demita.
My name's Mary Kay Berry. I am the Executive Director of Services for Exceptional Children in Fulton County Schools.
She had to think about that because it's a new job.
It is a new job. It is. I've been on the job since mid-August, so fairly new. And then I am the proud president of Georgia Council for Administrators of Special Education. I had to think about that too.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. So very excited about that. And then,
Hi, I'm Demita James, and I am the Assistant Executive Director for Middle Georgia RESA, and I serve as the President-elect for GCASE.
and she's also a national case. She serves on the national case board.
She
as
was
well.
being modest.
I know.
Wasn't
What
it?
about that? What about
Congratulations.
that?
How long have you been on the national board?
I'm almost finished with my second year.
National was at Savannah last
year.
Yeah.
It was held in Georgia. That's right.
And Demita and I actually served on a panel
Yes. At that
for
conference.
national case. It was very interesting. It was a neat experience.
That's great. All right, well, let's dive into the world of GCASE. Tell us about the conferences you have. I know you do 2 a year, but you also have a number of professional learning opportunities. I think you had one in September down in Macon. But talk to us about the conferences, when they are, where they're located, and some of the other professional opportunities, learning opportunities there are out there.
Sure. So I'll talk about a couple, and then Demita, you fill in as well. So we have a fall conference every year in Savannah, and that's a good time.
Coming up, what is that date?
That is November 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Mm-hmm.
In Savannah, we have some amazing things. Depending upon when this podcast is aired, it'll either really it will have been a good time, or it's about to be a good time.
That's right. One of the other.
Yeah. So we are focusing on the balance between instruction and compliance. And so really talking about, as special education leaders, the importance of being both. We have to focus on instruction now more than ever. And then compliance is so very important to what we do.
Yes, it is.
That's where we have pitfalls often in the area of compliance.
I had one rule when I was a high school principal. I never argued with the special ed department head or the curriculum director at the district office.
I'm going to tell you
I
what,
knew
I'm
not
gonna
to.
tell you
I
what.
listened to my special ed
Do
people.
you have any pull with Georgia Association of High School Principals? That needs to be, I'm telling you, a session.
Yeah, I learned that lesson early on,
It is.
and it's always better to listen to your special ed professionals out there, principals. They will keep you out of trouble and make sure you are compliant.
That's right. Nobody looks good in orange
Nobody
unless you're a Clemson. Is
There you
that
go.
Clemson?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. All right, we're going to talk about a few more opportunities.
In addition to our fall conference, we also do a spring legal conference, and that one is always in Athens. And so we always have, like those top legal issues that kind of come up, and, it's nice to, like being said, for us to kind of be aware of those things that are going to keep us out of the jailhouse. And so,
Nobody looks good in
no.
Nobody likes
orange is not the new black.
That's
And so, so that's one that's always a popular one because everybody wants to know what the new things are that they need to be paying attention to. And, what happens on the federal and state level is going to eventually trickle down to what happens on your local level. Yeah. So that conference is always good. In addition to that, we have some drive-ins that we have done. I had the opportunity to participate in one that was recent with John O'Connor. He came and did one on like the top tips of staying off of the
Stay off
federal
the list.
identified list.
Yeah.
And that was really good. And we had great participation. That one was held in Perry. And so great participation on that
I
conference.
think almost
And
100 participants.
Yeah.
they had.
That's great. And that is a very, very smart strategy. I know of some school districts out there that the superintendents work with their special ed department and curriculum department, and they keep up with those scores so meticulously that even if their school barely missed the TSI list, they make them go through the process.
I'm going to tell you, it is a process.
And that
too.
really helps those schools stay off of the list. When I saw the topic of that one-day workshop, I thought that is a phenomenal idea.
And it was great too because it allowed, it wasn't just a special education focus, you know.
They were supposed to bring teams, or
Yeah,
encouraged to bring
they
teams.
were
right?
brought
Right.
teams, and so you had your curriculum directors and other people who were at the district level and some school principals, and some teachers, instructional coaches, who were there to really kind of listen to that work and devise a plan of what are we going to do moving forward. So it was really great.
Yeah. So if I was a principal out there or a district office person, I would be looking at this upcoming CCRPI release. You've already got your data, but I would be paying close attention. And hopefully you did not make the list. But even if you had a school in your district or you're the principal of school and you were very, very close, this would be a phenomenal opportunity. And I'm sure GCASE will continue to do that.
Definitely. We also have two other things that we do for professional learning. We have the ADA, which is Aspiring Directors Academy. And so teacher leaders who are interested in going into special ed can apply, and it is very competitive. We have to turn away a lot of applicants. And so that's an amazing area of professional learning that we do. And then we also work closely with the Department of Education for CELDA, which is for new special education directors in their first or second year.
Yeah. So again, back home, principals, superintendents, assistant superintendents, you've always got to be thinking about your pipeline. If your special ed department head leaves tomorrow, do you have someone ready to step into those shoes? At the district office, do you have someone ready? And so that's why I think that Aspiring Directors Academy is so great. And the new. Talk to them a little bit about what those two different PL opportunities, what do they get out of that? What are they learning? Let's take the aspiring first.
Okay, so as an aspiring director, and the curriculum is set. I mean, it is very intent and focused. One of the days they spend, and Dr. Triss Gilliland does the perfect IEP.
Oh,
And so if one were to exist, she has definitely crafted that. And so they have the opportunity to really look at that. And then anything that they would need to know. Can you think of any other days specifically, Demita?
well, I
as a
think
part of the curriculum?
just an IEP in itself. I know that I worked in a district one time, and the director showed us a video one time it was like the exemplar of what an IEP meeting should look like, and a terrible one. And it started off with the bad one first. And it was little things like teachers were late, teachers were unprepared, they didn't bring anything to show. Just showing that unprofessionalism a little bit, or nonchalant, when these parents of the special ed student, this is the most prized possession that they have.
You're right.
And that meeting is extremely important. And then, and it had humor and it was funny. That was the purpose of it. But it really drove home to me the importance of making sure that our staff, that we were going to be on time and early for a meeting. And we were going to bring those parents back, and we were going to greet them and make sure we treated them in the right way, to do everything that we could to make it a positive experience.
I know you had asked, and we had talked a little bit before we hopped on the mics about LEA training, that local education agency, and what that means. One of the things that I tell my people, and I think is important for administrators to know, for principals to know, for district leaders to know, is that I say, administrator, principal, this is your house. You have to make parents feel at home.
That's right.
And so often, I know as a special education administrator, I've probably been in 2,000, 2,500 IEP meetings easily. And this is this parent's first,
That's right.
second,
Mm-hmm.
third.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just, there's an area that to whom much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the ability to interact and make a difference with these families.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big responsibility.
That's right.
And so as administrator principal, this is your house.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make them feel comfortable.
I think that's a great point. I know as a parent, as an administrator, one of my children might have gotten in trouble at the middle school. And I just know how, even as an educator, as an administrator, how uncomfortable I was and intimidated I was going to that middle school, listening to those teachers talk about, maybe a bad behavior or a poor decision that was made. And it helped me remind myself, we've got parents coming in that they're not in the schools every day. They don't understand all the jargon. And it can be a very intimidating thing. They want what's best for their child. And how we interact with them in that IEP meeting is critically important. Really is. So talk about the LEA training. What is that? Maybe I'm an assistant principal. I'm watching this. I've heard the term LEA.
Yeah,
I thought that was a special ed department head that was handling that.
Yeah. So I can tell you what, for me, in my previous district, I was in White County for 12 years. I worked with administrators. We did it both through the years. We've done it in person. I've worked with Reagan and Beth Sauls from Parker Poe. We've had them come in, and just different options to set the stage. As an LEA, you are responsible under the law for committing funds for this district. And it's very serious. And then not only are you responsible for committing the funds, you're also responsible for overseeing that specially designed instruction that is implemented through the IEP.
Yeah.
It's pretty mumbo jumbo-y for you as a response, but it is important for administrators to understand the responsibility that they have for the implementation of that IEP. And would you add anything?
The only thing I would add in addition to that is, not only do they have to be able to commit those funds, but they also got to know what services are available. So one of those phrases that we often warn administrators when they're sitting in that seat is, don't say we don't do that here or we don't have that, because those are going to be the things that are going to often get you in.
You're going to be offering it.
Right, you are going to be offering it, and you're probably going to be paying more than you wanted to pay for it in the first place.
That's right.
So, so I think that is important for them to kind of know that it is a huge responsibility, and that there are some things that go along with it in their response of how they do that. One of the things I would say that we have been working on, I didn't say this when I did my introduction, but in addition to being the assistant executive director at Middle Georgia RESA, I also serve as the GLRS director. So, I'm on the special education side of the house. And so working with the various leaders that come through our different programs, we have that alternative program for leaders. And so going through that and trying to help them to kind of see the importance of what their role is has been helpful. But we also have done like a facilitated IEP training that really shows the importance of that collaborative work within the team. And like Mary Kay said, just remembering that when parents come in, they're very often intimidated. And then, how we set up our space when they come into that room, if we have it set up where it's almost like us against them, that can kind of set the tone for how that meeting may run. So just kind of being, mindful of some of those things.
Yeah. I think I would strongly encourage GAEL members out there, if you're an administrator, to go through the LEA training. I'll talk a little bit about the importance of having an administrator serve in that role and in the IEP meeting, because I've heard rumors that sometimes there may be an IEP meeting and maybe just because of some circumstances there wasn't an administrator in there.
I would say probably that happens more often than we
Yeah.
would like for it to happen.
Yeah.
Again, when I said, this is your house,
Mm-hmm.
it is crucial
Yeah.
that administrators know the decisions that are being made.
That's right.
In the confines of IEP meetings, because big decisions,
That's right.
decisions that can literally cost the system not hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And over the course of years, and especially where we are financially now,
Yeah. You can't. That's right.
The importance is just is unbelievable.
It needs to be a priority.
It
Is
has
that
to
building
be a
principle?
priority.
You got to know when the
Yeah.
IEP meetings are, and there needs to be an administrator.
And I would say, despite what people think, SPED does not have a whole lot of money that's sitting over in a pot over there, So
They think you hide it over there up under the tree, don't they?
But what I will tell you is even if an administrative team would identify, okay, this administrator is the administrator of special education or student services, however
Yes.
that may be, just so that there was a go-to
That's right.
person.
That's
I
right.
think that's important not only for teachers but also for parents to know, okay,
right.
I'm going to deal with this individual.
Yeah. I think that's incredible. The special ed teachers understand that relationship. The department head, the district office, everyone knows this is the administrator at this school that handles, the special ed situations.
I will
and
tell you
IEPs.
one of the
And
things.
it helps with consistency.
Absolutely. One of the things that I got to do when I was in White County, Lumpkin County asked me to come over and work with their aspiring leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what do you want me to talk about? And she said, what would, as a special education director, what do you want administrators to know? And so I was like, oh my gosh, here's my opportunity. And so we spent time with future administrators just saying, okay, this is the importance of this. This
We're
is
a
the
team.
importance of this. Yeah. Let's work this out.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about master scheduling. And you and Katie Lowry came on, did the GAEL Finance
Shout out to Kayla.
series. And she did it with the flu,
She did
if
it
I
with
remember
the flu.
correctly.
She did it.
That is
You can
commitment
imagine
right
Kayla
there.
with the flu.
On, never,
It slowed her down about this much. Not
I
much.
mean, pushed right through. That is commitment. But that was all about coding and that. But let's talk about scheduling. Y'all did some great examples on scheduling. But let's talk about master schedules. So I'm a principal or an assistant principal. Maybe one of my main duties is to do the master schedule. But I'm new. This is going to be, next spring is going to be my first foray into doing the master schedule. In your opinion, as special ed directors or professionals, I know every place I've been as a principal, we always plugged in the special ed schedule first. But let's talk about why you think that's important and what might be some drawbacks if we don't put special ed in first.
So shout out to Cindy
Flesher.
And can we say we think we're going to go ahead and do it?
I think you can say with great confidence you'll be doing a breakout session at Winter GAEL on that.
Quick advertisement.
That's
for that
right.
session.
That's right.
But I will tell you that it is of utmost importance. And we say all the time, schedule special ed first. Schedule special ed first.
Why?
And people say, oh, yeah, we do. But the decisions that you make surrounding scheduling can mean major impact on your funding.
Give us an example of that.
Quick example of that. So you are in a middle school and you have been on a 7-period day, okay? And so your segments are around 50 minutes. And you run through the day and your students are scheduled. Your students with disabilities are scheduled for that, and they're earning funding for that. Then you decide to change to block scheduling. So now your segments are 90 minutes. When a student with a disability is coded in more than 3 segments, it changes their funding weight from a level 3, which is gross approximation, let's say around $9,000. Those of you do not, I mean, there is an exact amount. I'm saying approximately. So if you were to bump to that 4th segment, they go all the way down to about, you're only earning about $6,000. And so you're looking at about $3,000. If you're in a small district, 80 kids, $3,000. I don't do math in public,
Adds up.
it does add up.
Yeah.
So what if you're looking at 8,000 kids?
That's right.
I mean, it adds up. It can be a significant. And all you did, Mr. Principal, was change from a 7-period day to a block period day. And total unintended consequence. You had no idea, but it could cost the system hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. And so once that the principal sets the schedule, and they've been on block, they've been on 7-period day for a number of years. They've set the schedule, but they haven't put SPED in first. What are some potential drawbacks that maybe you've seen? I was the principal. I made the schedule, made the master schedule. At some point, we plugged in special ed. And now you're the special ed director from the district office coming in, and you've identified some issues for Ben. What are Ben's issues now?
All right. So I would say a couple of those issues would relate to the fact that you scheduled these students who may or may not need a particular service model for their instruction, but you may not have the certified teachers to teach those things, because we know we're in a teacher shortage, and we know that we have a lot of inexperienced teachers providing services for students. But if they're needing a small group model and you only can teach co-taught because you're not fully certified in all the content areas, then that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
And then an unintended consequence would be your test scores are going to suffer because we don't have highly qualified or trained teachers.
Talk about that, getting certified in all the content areas. Why is that important? Why do I have to do that? I've got the special ed, I've got the general. Well, why is it important? My principal's trying to get me or this office to go back and get certified in all the content areas. Why?
Well, because one, although special education teachers are, working on the specially designed instruction, in order to be able to create special design instruction for your students, you got to kind of know what some of the ins and outs of those content areas are. So the more you know on that end and being able to be certified in the various content areas is going to make you a richer, and more knowledgeable teacher to be able to support your students, because you have that, understanding of what those things are asking for. And you got to be aware. One, our students with disabilities are students first. And so they're not coming to just get intervention. They're coming to get instruction from the general curriculum. Right. And so we have to make sure that we have that content information as well.
Talk a little bit about where our special ed students are within our school. Because the special ed students may have been in a particular area or, self-contained. But talk about how that has changed dramatically over the years.
I think what is so, and this is, I'm going to talk briefly because Demita, this is her area of expertise. It really, truly is. But really, I said, teachers aren't going into special education like they once were. And so we're getting some great folks, good people who lack training. So we say they have, sometimes it's skill or will. They have the will. We can teach the skill, but it is when do we have the time to do that? And in the pressure that we put on them now for accountability, it's significant. So I'm gonna let you.
Well, it's funny. I don't remember what the question was.
Well, just special ed students are dispersed throughout our master schedule. Yeah, we
And
do.
I went a little bit
But you
of
know
a
what we
different
do?
direction.
That's in scale
Yeah,
unscripted. But we
yeah.
do. We take non-traditional teachers. I've got a college degree. I've decided I want to teach. You're the principal, and you go, oh, thank goodness I need 3 special ed teachers. So go take the GAES and special ed. We'll put you through the tap. And by the way, here's the IEPs you got to do, and here's the FTE reporting. And it is a lot. And sometimes I'm afraid at the local school level, maybe we're not making sure that we give those people the most help that they need so that they can be successful.
It is. It is. I've got
It's
2
tough.
right now in my family. My soon-to-be son-in-law, he has a degree in sports management, and he couldn't find a job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so he is teaching. He's
Special
a
ed.
special ed teacher in GNETs.
Yeah.
And I mean, y'all. And
Yeah.
then my best friend's daughter. I've been helping her write IEPs, and it is a lot.
It's a lot.
There's a lot that
Especially
we
if
put
you
on them.
haven't majored in special ed.
Well,
But let's
even
talk
if
about
you
it.
have majored in special
Yeah, it's still
ed,
a
it
lot.
still is
It's
a
still a
lot
lot, yeah.
because, I mean, you know, you can do all kinds of simulations with kids, but until
Yeah.
you get those
That's
real
right.
world
That's
ones,
right.
it's a whole nother story. But I think that what we have to keep in mind is that, yes, professional development is going to be essential for those new teachers, regardless if they're traditional teachers or taking an alternative approach. But one of the bigger things that I think that we need to tap into is doing more coaching with our teachers who are coming into the field, because they are asked to do a lot. They are, and we got to give them the opportunity to be able to have a little bit of a failure, you know, with somebody kind of there to help catch them, you
Part
know.
of the growth.
Yeah. And I think that that's where that coaching part is important, that is paired with that professional learning in order for us to be able to build that capacity that
And
they
that's
need.
really where you were going with that is our students with disabilities are being educated in our gen
Yeah.
ed classes.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, their day is in a classroom with a gen ed teacher.
Yes.
So not only do we need to train our students, our teachers of the students with disabilities, our special ed teachers,
Yeah.
but
The
how
gen
do
ed
we
teachers
equip
too.
the gen ed teachers? How do we equip those gen ed teachers too?
That's right.
And it is one of the things that I have for my principals in Fulton County. I call it SPED talks.
Yeah. I like
and,
that.
And so
Those big
I
talks.
met with Reagan Sauls was on this week,
Mm-hmm.
and they have the opportunity to come in and ask questions and whatnot. And because the whole premise is every leader is a special education leader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you cannot be in education
Yeah.
and not have special education as a part of what you do on a daily basis.
That's right. That's right. Well, our special ed students, they're in every classroom in our building. They're even in our AP statistics courses. I mean, they are everywhere. They're in all CTAE courses. They're in all elective courses. They're in fine arts courses. So I think it's imperative, like you said, not just the training for the SPED teachers, but the general ed teachers have that understanding as well. Well, this has been a fantastic episode. I, as a high school principal at both of my stops, whenever I was having a bad day, and there was only like 2 of them, of course, right? But I would always find my way down to the self-contained classroom, because that could always reset me. Those students would bless me beyond measure that they ever had a clue about. But anyway, if I was a principal out there and you're having those struggles and bad days, go down to your special ed self-contained classroom. They will change your day. They will put everything in perspective. And then you can go right back out and tackle the world. Sometimes 10 minutes down there will change the course of the day.
And then
send
your special ed director a thank you card
Oh,
for
yeah.
all that they do.
No kidding. And invest in your special ed professionals. Make sure they're members of GCAS. Make sure they're going to the conferences. Make sure they're able to go. And think about your pipeline. Think about that aspiring directors and your new directors. think about, as a building level or district level, do you have someone in the pipeline ready to go? And if not, GCASE is here ready to help and assist you with this. Well, thank you both for coming today. We enjoyed having you. And thank you for joining us for another episode of GAEL Unscripted.